Hi, Layla. Nice to see you.
Good to see you as well.
Okay, great. So we'll go ahead and get started. For everyone, just a reminder: it's lovely for me when you have your cameras on because I can see you. But that being said, it's really about your comfort. If you'd rather turn the camera off, you're more than welcome to. I know you're there. So feel free to adapt that as you'd like. So welcome. My name is Jody, for those I haven't met before. Today we'll be doing another practice, yoga for stress relief. And we'll begin in a seated position. So with the seated positions, I'm in Sukhasana, easy pose. Feel free to find a seat in a chair if that's more supportive for you today, or on blocks in a hero pose with the pelvis elevated. We want to think about the hips being slightly supported so that we can stabilize our pelvic bowl. Other than that, do whatever you feel most comfortable with. And we'll begin by grounding with the breath. And so I'll invite everyone to take a moment, find that position that feels both relaxed and alert. And taking a moment to look around your space before we drop in, just grounding through the sense of sight, noticing what's around you, and noticing that you can always open your eyes during a practice or practice with your eyes open. Just knowing you have that choice, and gently letting your gaze settle on the ground, and if it feels good to do so, letting the eyes drift closed. And if you would like, you can add a centering hand gesture here, one hand over the chest and one hand over the abdomen. We'll take a moment now to drop in and connect with the wave of breath moving through. As we bring awareness to the breath, seeing if we can do so with a lot of curiosity, acceptance of what's here, and getting curious, can I relax my abdomen? Is my abdomen flowing freely with the breath? Noticing, does the breath feel most in my chest, or can I feel it in the deep lungs? Can I feel my abdomen rising and falling? And bringing curiosity here to the length of the inhale, the length of the exhale. Is it even? Is the inhale hurried? Or does it feel like it can be slow and leisurely? With the exhale, can I draw out the exhale? Can I fully empty the lungs? And as we settle in and make room for the breath in this way, we're reminding ourselves that the breath is one of the best resources we have for soothing our overall system. So I'll invite you now to see if you can even your breathing with nice slow inhales and a long slow exhale, letting the breath be leisurely, sending this message through the system: we're okay, we're here, we're breathing. We can relax the body, we can settle into the moment, releasing tension as much as that tension is willing to release into the ground in this moment. We'll take 10 breaths in this way, continuing to let that wave of breath move through. And beginning now to feel the support beneath you. So we have this sense of the ground beneath us as the wave of breath moves through. And if it feels accessible, we can begin to breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. So letting that soft sigh of an exhale release through an open mouth. And with the exhale, giving the body permission to sink into the support beneath. As we do so, letting the inhale fill the lungs, feeling this gentle expansion of the ribs, expansion of the lungs. With this slow exhale, noticing, is there an area that wants to release? Maybe in the jaw, the throat, the back of the neck, the shoulders. And for our last 3 cycles of breath here, giving permission to these areas by directly letting them know, okay, shoulders, you can relax. Hips, you can soften. Jaw, you can release. And with your next exhale, gently releasing the breath work and taking a moment again to look around and take in your space as we begin to prepare to move. And if you're cross-legged at this time, I'll invite you to switch your legs. And we're remembering here too that in this practice, we're here for the hour and it's an hour for you. And so if you're here and you're working on embodied presence, your relationship with your breath, you're doing it right. So feel free to modify, make it your own in any way you need. But we'll begin with loosening the diaphragm. So our goal here is to give some love and care to the breathing muscles, and we'll do so by side bending and some gentle rotations. So we'll begin with our left hand supporting the body beside us and lifting that right arm up and over. And remembering our movements don't need to be extreme. We can go for just 60% of effort, but breathing into the side body here, making connection with the low ribs, feeling that opening. And then slowly switching sides, the right arm plants down and the left arm lifts up and over. Nice arc, creating space between the hips and the shoulders, and breathing into the low ribs. Just noticing how that area of the body feels. And we'll come back to center and slowly lower the hands in front of the chest. And we'll begin with sun breaths. So inhaling to raise the arms up overhead. Our gaze can follow the hands for a stretch in the throat. Then slowly lowering the hands through prayer position in front of the chest. And moving at your own rhythm, moving with the breath, gently inviting movement into the shoulders, lowering the hands in front of the chest. And as we do this for a few more rounds, just checking in and seeing, okay, where is my mind right now? Is it possible to just give the mind permission to stay with the practice, knowing that the mind will wander, by giving permission to just gently remind the thoughts to center back into the body. So as we lower our hands for the last time, I'll invite you to put your thumbs together and bring both hands in front of the chest and just rest them here for a moment and take 3 breaths as you set an intention for your practice. This is Breathe Easy Yoga for Stress Relief. What brought me here? What do I want to focus on today? Feeling the warmth of your hands on the chest, the rise and fall of your breath moving. Silently repeating that intention to yourself. So from here, we're going to do a lion's breath, and this will repeat at different times through our practice. Many people will do this by placing the hands on the ground with the wrists forward. This is quite an intense stretch for the wrists, so if you'd like to just rest your hands on your knees, you're more than welcome. But for those who are ready, to gently press the hands into the ground, wrists facing forward. And with the lion's breath, it's this idea of releasing stress from within the body on the exhale. And so as we breathe in, we make contact with any areas that feel like they're tight or holding. And with our exhale, we're going to stick out the tongue and make a nice big exhale sound. So we breathe in, and then on the exhale, a nice loud exhale from the back of the throat. And if you'd like, as you exhale, your eyes can look up towards the ceiling. So we breathe in deeply, and with that exhale, a full release. Giving your wrists a break for a moment if you are doing that forward fold, just moving from extension and flexion. And then again, and we'll do 3 rounds, and do it at your own rhythm and see if you can really connect to that internal source of stress in the body. Breathing in deeply. Giving yourself permission to release it. A great release for any pent-up frustration. Beautiful. Maybe one more if you feel it. If you're ready to come out, giving yourself a moment, just stretch the wrists, move them as you will. And again, if you're seated, cross your legs the opposite way. We'll be releasing this posture soon, but we'll take a moment just to do some gentle rotations of the rib cage around the pelvic bowl. So moving over to the left, and then forward to the right, and back. And letting this be as small or as large a movement as feels comfortable for you. Can be very subtle. We're just, again, creating a little bit of space around the diaphragm. And checking in, does this feel tight? Where are there areas that this is a little bit sticky? And if you'd like to pause there and send a breath into that area, giving a gentle stretch for the surrounding muscles in the abdomen, along the side body, the back body. Finding that place where this feels like good medicine, an area that hasn't gotten a lot of movement or release recently. And then when you're ready, changing direction and moving the other way. Staying connected with the breath here. And if we pause and find that moment, that place that feels it needs it, sending the breath there. And with the exhale, permission to release. One last circle here. And then coming back through center and just taking one breath just to land, to let that movement settle. And we'll move into some cat and cow rotations, and we'll be opening through the shoulders here. So again, it's possible to do this in a seat. We're thinking of rounding and arching the spine, and when we arch, creating an opening in the chest. So if you're doing this on the ground, you can have a blanket to support the knees, hands line up about beneath the shoulders, and we'll move through gently arching the back and then rounding the spine. And as we round the spine, if it feels good, you can move towards your heels, dropping your sit bones, and then coming back up, just feeling into what feels good for you. The most important movement here, this gentle rounding of the spine, and then arching. Again, it doesn't need to be a huge movement. We're just getting some motion into the spine here and noticing how it feels. And again, if there's, in rounding the spine, a spot that feels like it needs extra care, you can pause and breathe into that area. This is essential daily care for the spinal column, but also supports our central nervous system because so many nerves travel their signals through the spinal cord in this area. Taking one more gentle rounding and arch. And then we'll settle back onto the heels into a seated position and take a moment here to take the weight off the wrists, and we'll do a very gentle stretch for the neck. So I'm going to turn to face forward, but you can stay seated facing whichever direction. And we're going to just let the left ear drop towards the left shoulder, creating space through the neck on the right. And gently lift the left hand to rest over the right ear, not adding pressure, but just a very gentle support. And we have options for the right arm. We can extend it out, which intensifies the stretch. And we'll also feel this now in the right shoulder. Breathing into the area that's experiencing this opening. But if you'd like, you can bring the right hand around to place it on the left ribs and gently slide the left ribs over to the right. This will create a little bit of opening now in the side body as well. So we'll have a side stretch here like a C shape from the hip up to the top of the neck. Take 3 breaths here, just gently inviting stretch and space into this area. And gently noticing, is my mind wandering? Can I, with a lot of patience and kindness, invite it back to the feeling of the ground beneath me, the sensations of the stretch, the life that's here, the breath moving through. With your next exhale, releasing back through center, then dropping the ear to the right, bringing the right arm up and over to rest over the left ear. Remembering to be very gentle with the neck. It's essential neck hygiene to let this area stretch, but we want to be very gentle. So there can be a lot of tension building here. We bring awareness to it, but with a lot of kindness and warmth, not forcing anything here. Extending the left arm out if that feels comfortable. Feeling that line of energy shooting out to the left wrist. And bringing that left hand around to the right ribs, gently easing the ribs over to the side. Now feeling this side opening, breathing into the space from the left hip to the top of the neck. Feeling the warmth of the hands on the body, this sense of containment, support. And with your next exhale, releasing slowly, releasing the arms, gently bringing the head back to center. And we'll make very small circles with the chin here, just to give the skull a chance to rotate a little, creating a very subtle massage and movement at the base of the skull. You can gently let the chin circles get a little bit wider. Being mindful, how does that feel? And if it creates any feelings of dizziness, slowing down or stopping. And choosing the next direction, very gentle movement. And then release. So we'll come into downward dog from here. So coming back to hands and knees. And again, feeling free to press your hands into a chair if that feels better. But if your hands are on the mat just ahead of the shoulders, curling the toes under and slowly moving to straightening the back of the legs, coming to this inverted V shape. And we'll gently lower the heels one at a time. The goal here just to find this length in the spine and a gentle stretch through the back of the legs. And we can imagine the back of our thighs pressing backwards and releasing the head down. We'll take 3 breaths here, seeing if you can connect to a sense of your tailbone and the base of your skull moving in opposite directions. And then slowly we're going to walk our feet towards the hands with knees bent and settle into a forward fold. Clasping the elbows, fully releasing the head, maybe giving the head a gentle shake from side to side, almost as if you're nodding yes and then shaking your head no, and letting the upper body relax as much as it will. One more full breath here. And with your next inhale, slowly rising back up, we can curl the spine up one vertebrae at a time and gently lifting the arms overhead. Then lowering the hands down again, we're slowly folding forward, back into our forward fold. And then rising back up again. We can hinge at the hips or slowly roll up one vertebrae at a time. And we'll repeat this 3 times at our own rhythm, gently raising the arms up overhead and then slowly bending the knees, folding forward, coming back into that forward fold, finding a rhythm that works for you. Staying with a sense of the ground beneath the feet and the breath moving through. Even as we get this gentle activation with the muscles moving, keeping our breathing paced, consistent, even. The next time we find our arms up overhead, taking a moment to pause here with the arms reaching towards the ceiling and clasping the hands together, we can let our index fingers point towards the ceiling. So the hands are clasped, but the index fingers are pointing up, layered against each other. This is our upward salute. And so here, grounding through the feet, we're going to let the rib cage lift up towards the ceiling from all sides, front, sides, and back very gently. And then leaning the body over to the left. Another side stretch, opening. Taking a full breath here. And then slowly coming back through center and leaning over to the right. And coming back through center, releasing the hands down and taking the moment to shake out the hands and gently swing the arms from side to side, releasing any effort. Letting your weight transfer from one foot to the other. So you gently let your arms swing and getting curious, how does it feel in the shoulders? How does it feel in my hips? We'll take a moment now to do some nice circular movements to oil the joints and get circulation moving. We're going to begin with the shoulders, rolling up, back, and down, letting the movements be as small or large as you'd like, and bringing curiosity into the joint. How is it feeling? And switching direction, gently rolling the shoulders forward. And now we're going to loop one arm at a time, up, back, and down. So being very gentle here and getting curious about the range of motion in your arm, really respecting it. This is great for shoulder mobility, but we want to be very gentle and know our capacity, know our range of motion. So we'll do about 5 in one direction, then slowly change direction, sweeping the arm forward. And then switching sides. Now the left arm, gently creating these wide circles, making them smaller if needed, bringing that curiosity. How are the shoulders feeling? So much of healing from tension and stress is about bringing awareness to where tension and stress is held in the body, giving it an opportunity to move differently, provide an opportunity for repatterning. Now we're moving the arm backwards in the other direction, about 5 circles. Bringing awareness to any areas of tightness or tension, just giving this joint a little bit of opening and freedom to move differently. And then settling back to center, we'll do the same with our rib cage. Like we did seated, just gently rolling in circles around the pelvis. So to the side, front, back. The circles can be small or large. There might be a lot of tension here, and if so, being very kind to this part of the body. Just gently encouraging a little bit of movement. Switching directions to move the other way. Staying connected to the breath flowing through. And then releasing, coming back to center, feeling the feet on the ground, letting the shoulders relax. And now bringing awareness into the hips and letting the hips move forward, side, back, side, around in gentle circles. And much in the same way, if there's an area or a direction where you feel the desire to pause and breathe into it, because it feels like a much needed stretch is available there, Feel free to pause, going at your own rhythm. So much more important than following my movements is finding what feels good for your body, what feels needed for your body. I'm taking a moment to change directions. Then releasing back to center. We're going to take a moment here to find mountain pose with the fingertips pointing down. And we're going to go through the body from the feet all the way up to the skull, doing an exercise called flex and release. Just squeeze and release. And so we're going to start with the feet and move our way up, and the idea is that we're noticing in our body the state of contraction and the state of release, expansion. Noticing the difference that makes in blood flow. And this is really great for flowing lymph and bodily fluids through our system. And so feeling the ground beneath your feet, taking a moment to just observe your surroundings, connect with your breath. Then beginning with the feet, we'll curl the toes and just flex our feet for a moment here, about 5 seconds, and then release them fully. And feel the sensation, getting curious, they're vibrating or tingling. How are the feet feeling in response? And then moving to the calves, and it might help to bend your knees slightly, but seeing if you can hug the muscle towards bone, inviting some engagement into the calf muscles. It's subtle because we're standing, but it's here. You can feel the muscles hugging towards the shins, the calves tightening, and then release completely. Notice the sensation in the calf muscles. And then moving up to the thighs, we're going to tighten the thighs, hugging muscle towards bone, feeling the glutes contract slightly in response. Feel the strength of these muscles as they engage. And then release fully. And note the sensations of release. As they're trembling, as they're tingling, just being curious and interested in the thighs. And then moving up to the glute muscles, the muscles of our butt, tightening, flexing them, feeling that engagement, feeling that strength, hugging towards the midline, and then releasing completely. And just noticing, again, the quality of release. Now moving to the muscles of the low abdomen, a gentle contraction. You can envision lifting your pelvic floor, the lower abdomen pulling inwards, and let that wave of contraction move all the way up to the upper abdomen. Just a gentle contraction here. We'll feel it in the back muscles as well. And then release. Feel a softening in the abdomen, a softening in the back. Just noticing what can you feel from the inside. Muscles of the abdomen relaxing. Is there tension, tightness, tingling? What's the temperature? Just being very curious what comes up. And then moving our awareness up to the muscles of the chest, the pectorals. We'll take a moment here to gently contract through the pectoral muscles, feeling a tightening in the back body. Whatever is available to you here, that hugging towards bone of the muscle. Maybe even visualizing that muscle tightening, the strength here, multifaceted layers of fascia and muscle, and releasing, letting the chest open. noticing how that changes the exhale to release in this area. And finally, from the fingertips all the way up to the shoulders, we'll form fists and gently lift the shoulders and send a wave of contraction from our tightened fists all the way up into the shoulder. So the muscles of the forearms, the upper arms and shoulders tightening in towards bone, contraction, noticing the sensations of contraction, and then releasing fully. And letting yourself notice the tingling, the rush of energy, the sensation of release here. All the way down to the fingertips. And moving up to the muscles of the face and the skull, taking a moment to move the muscles of your face in towards center, tightening through the face, and imagining the back of your skull contracting slightly, engaging the muscles of the face, a gentle contraction, noticing how that feels, and then softening through the face, releasing, letting your jaw go slack, maybe even moving the jaw slightly, and just feeling the whole face from the inside out soften and relax. And getting curious, how does that feel? What do I notice? Is there a tingling or vibrating? Then we'll do one last wave from the feet all the way up to the skull, the whole body together. So now taking a moment to curl the toes and form fists, a gentle contraction all the way from the feet into the face and the back of the skull. Noticing that tension and then giving the whole body permission to release, letting it go, and noticing the sensation of release, the sensation of discharge, relaxation. And from here, we're going to begin to move. So we're going to step back into a warrior one position, the right foot moving back, the left foot forward, and the right foot angling out slightly, finding how far apart your feet need to be for you to balance, and we'll gently bend and straighten our left knee, feeling the ground beneath the feet, seeing if you can find your center of gravity here. So you gently pulse the leg, sending energy through the body. And we'll raise the arms up for our warrior one shape, letting the knees stay bent now. But if it feels accessible here, slowly lowering both arms into a cactus position, arms bent, elbows forming a right angle, and then raising the hands up again. So a gentle pulsing from cactus, moving the arms up towards the ceiling. Do that 3 times at your own rhythm. Feeling this gentle activation. And then releasing and turning the feet to face the long edge of the mat, coming towards center. We're going to prepare to move into a goddess squat here. And so we let both of our feet turn out towards the corners of the mat, and we'll stabilize our pelvic bowl. And you know your body, so do the squat that feels right for you. It might be quite subtle, and that's fine. We want to pay attention to what's happening in the area of the groin, but it will lift the hands up to point straight out in all directions. So feeling a connection to our center of gravity here. Then as we lower, we're again bending the elbows and coming into our goddess position in the squat. And we'll move in and out of that as slowly or as quickly as you'd like, but it can be nice to synchronize with the breath here. So that we're inhaling to lift the hands up, Exhaling to lower. Noticing this gentle sense of almost pulsing or pumping that happens through the system. And then for one full breath, settling into our goddess pose. Feeling an opening across the chest, the bent elbows, the activation in the thigh muscles, and then coming up and releasing. Feet point to the center. We'll just gently swing the arms from side to side again, taking a moment for discharge. Noticing that sensation of release and checking in. Do I feel connected to my breath? Do I tend to hold my breath in my practice? Just knowing that holding the breath is activating for our sympathetic nervous system. It sends a signal of alarm. So anytime we catch ourselves holding our breath, let's just let that release. Breathe easy. Now turning to settle into warrior one on the other side. Again, that gentle pulsing motion. So our right foot is pointing towards the short edge of the mat now. Our left foot is stepped back. And we're gently bending and straightening the knee. Feeling the motion of the body, the rhythm of this gentle pulsing. And when we feel ready, raising the arms up, settling the knee to rest over the ankle as we are in warrior one here. Gaze forward, feeling the energy and activation of this posture. And if it works well for you, moving the arms into cactus and then back up. Very gently, heat building, feeling the muscles fire. Remembering to breathe. One more breath here. Then with an exhale, releasing. And we'll turn both feet back to center. And then the toes turn out again. We're preparing now for goddess, but I'd like you to just, for a moment, tap the thigh muscles. There's a lot of energy that is stored in the thigh muscles, and doing gentle squats is a pretty amazing way to release and stimulate our energy flow. And so I'll invite you to just tap the thighs and then notice the sensation of response when you stop, bringing these muscles online. And as we settle into another goddess squat, we're going to add the lion's breath. So the goddess squat is a powerful shape for any gender, and we're going to, in this powerful shape, take 3 rounds of the lion's breath. So again, eyes looking up, tongue coming down, a nice loud vocalization on the exhale, as much as you feel comfortable. Again, remembering this is just an invitation, but if you're ready, taking a moment to settle into your squat, cactus arms, and 3 rounds of lion's breath at your own rhythm. Seeing if you can connect to a visualization of where is the stress in the body that you would like to release. Sending the inhale there, and with the exhale, letting it release. One more deep breath. When you're ready, rising up again, bringing the feet slowly heel toe into center, and taking a moment to relax in mountain pose and just notice how you feel. Let that activation settle, taking a moment to decelerate, pressing on the brake here for a moment, just taking stock Where do I feel my breath moving now? And from here, as we get ready to move to the floor, we're just going to do a balancing pose, finding our center of gravity. And so we'll settle onto the left foot first. So our first step is always just to see if we can find our center, find our balance, pressing into the support of the ground beneath, and moving with this sense of expansion and contraction. From here, once we have that steadiness, we're going to inhale and open just as much as is possible. It might be quite small, and then exhale to close. And we'll try that on the other side before we do 3 rounds. So finding that anchoring through the right foot and this gentle opening and closing, finding our center. And then switching back to the left, we're going to do that 3 times. So finding that balance and then seeing with the inhale if we can invite this opening across the chest, opening through the body, and with the exhale, bring it back into center, rounding the spine. And this can be as small or as large as you'd like. Gentle inhale to expand. And with the exhale, bringing the arms in, a contraction. One last time, and maybe just your arms that are moving, and that would be okay. Exhaling back to center. Settling both feet on the ground. Finding that sense of rootedness, and then repeating on the other side. Inhaling to open. Exhaling to bring the arms into center around the spine. 2 more here. Noticing how it feels in the body to ground the feet. This gentle expansion and contraction. And then we'll release back to center. Take a moment here, we'll do 1 more balance pose, adding an opening for the shoulders to open across the front of the chest. If for your own balance you'd like to have a chair or a wall nearby, or even just experiment with lifting the foot ever so slightly off the ground, those are great starting places. If you feel ready to lift the right knee up, I'll invite you to do so, placing the left hand on the outer right thigh. And this might be challenge enough, but if you're willing and interested, opening the right arm out to the side, adding a gentle opening across the front of the right shoulder, and letting that inhale and exhale flow through. We'll take 1 more full breath here. And then release back through center and on the other side. And again, if we'd like, we can just do the upper body, opening the left arm out to the side in this gentle twist. But if you'd like to add the balance, the left knee comes up, we find our center, and then opening the left arm out to the side, the right hand can hold the thigh for stability. Just taking 2 breaths, smooth, even breaths, to open out to the side. And then releasing back through center. We'll prepare to move down to the ground, but before we do, just taking a moment from the head all the way to the toes to let ourselves gently shake it out. Again, just noticing where there's tension, just seeing if we can gently encourage the body to let that go through sending this subtle vibration through from the head into the toes, inviting gentle movement. Beautiful. And we'll come to the front of our mat and we'll do one last half sun salutation to come down. Inhaling to raise the arms up overhead, exhaling to fold, and then stepping the feet back into plank for a moment, lowering the knees down and then the belly down to the ground. We'll take just a moment here in Sphinx, letting the elbows rest just in front of the shoulders, forearms on the ground. And if you'd rather do this seated, you're more than welcome. This is a gentle arch in the back, a little back bend. And so feel into it if it's comfortable for you. Wonderful. It might be more comfortable to be seated. But here we're letting the ground be felt from the feet all the way to the palms, letting the front of the chest open. Just experiencing this very gentle back bend. And breathing here with the open chest. And if it feels available to you, you can slowly turn your head to look over the right shoulder, letting your eyes go to the lower right corner of your vision. This is a vagal toning exercise. It's a nice reset for the vagus nerve. Taking about 3 breaths, looking over the right shoulder. And then coming back through center and then turning the head gently to look over the left shoulder. Eyes to the lower corner of the outer left eye. And then coming back through center, we're going to make a pillow for the head with the hands. And then gently rest the forehead on that pillow. And so here we're settling into a prone position on our belly. We can move our feet out to the edges of the mat and let the arches of the feet be against the floor, the heels towards one another. So the feet are about the distance of the yoga mat apart. Our head is relaxing into our hands. And this finds us in Crocodile Pose. And so here, feeling the feedback of the yoga mat against the stomach is actually a gentle massage for the internal organs as your breath moves your abdominal area against the mat. And we'll just take a moment here to see if we can invite the body again to relax, to slow down. As we prepare for Shavasana in this position, just remembering that in Shavasana we can choose our posture. We can lay in corpse pose on our back, but this might be a position on the belly in prone position that feels good for you. Just checking in, how does it feel to relax into the surface of the ground in this position? And before we take Shavasana, we'll do one more stretch. Now propping ourselves up on one forearm. I'm beginning with my left forearm, and I'm reaching my right hand back towards my foot. And it might just reach my thigh, that's fine. But as we bend the foot towards the hand, what we're looking for here is a gentle stretch in the quad muscle. So we're just reaching for the foot. If we're not making contact, that's really okay. We're just looking for a stretch in the quad, and this is opening through the right shoulder as well. Taking one breath here and then switching sides, placing the forearm down, and then reaching that left hand back for the left ankle or towards it. and feeling that responding stretch in the quadricep, the thigh muscles on the front of the leg. One deep breath here, and bringing your hands beneath the shoulders, we can push up into a half plank and then come back into a child's pose, letting the sit bones sink towards the heels as much as they will. Taking a moment here to let the head drop towards the floor, extending the arms in front, a gentle stretch for the shoulders here and the low back. If it's more comfortable to move into a seated position and gently round the back in a soft forward fold, it'll have the same benefit. And slowly walking the hands up, we'll take a moment here to prepare for Shavasana. So seeing if there are warm socks or blankets or anything you would like to have around. And remembering as you relax into Shavasana that the most important thing is that you're comfortable, that the body is supported and warm. So feeling free to take a position of your choice. I'm going to stay in a seated position and guide us through. Well, as we settle the body into Shavasana, I'll invite you to send a wave of awareness from the feet all the way to the crown of the head. And as you do so, checking in with your body, noticing the sensations that are here, tension, ease, noticing the temperature that's here, warmth, cool, anywhere in between. Gently checking in with each area, being curious about the sensations that are there, and giving permission to release, to relax, to soften as much as each body part will. So we can do this from the feet to the crown of the head and then moving back to the feet as we give the full body permission to rest, permission to soften. Sending a wave of gratitude for the body's mobility, for the life that's here. Inviting the ankles to soften, relax. The calf muscles to soften, relax. The knees, find ease and release into the floor. The thighs, the hips, the pelvis to melt, to soften. The abdominals, the ribs, the chest can relax, soften as much as they will, melting into the support of the ground beneath. The shoulders, the neck, the length of both arms, softening, releasing. The neck, the jaw, the muscles of the face, the skull itself, even the inside of the mouth, the tongue, permission to relax, to release as much as it will into the support beneath. We'll take 1 minute here in silence. As we come to the end of our time in Shavasana, I invite you to take a moment to check back in with the intention you set at the beginning of the practice. With curiosity and acceptance, just noticing what helped, what hindered. Taking a moment to bring awareness to the flow of breath. Is there a difference here in the ease with which the breath is flowing, the depth of the inhale, or the fullness and the release of the exhale? Getting curious, noticing. Remembering too that this breath is our main resource for regulation. Just giving yourself a moment where you can feel good about taking this time to practice and slow down. So beneficial for our health and wellness overall, yet often hard to do. You made it. Just letting that appreciation wash through. We'll conclude our practice with 3 repetitions of the mantra Ohms. For anyone who would like to join me, please feel free. Just slowly keeping that energy of calm, slowly bringing yourself to a seated position to join. Finding a position that's relaxed and open. If you'd like to feel the vibration of sound moving through, placing the hands on the body in a centering gesture, one hand over the chest, one over the abdomen. And following your own rhythm, we'll do 3 repetitions. Breathing in deeply. Om.